Hello everyone, in the following video I want to demonstrate the capabilities of the yunIO transaction feature. yunIO, that's our solution for SAP process integration with cloud environments. With the transaction feature, any SAP transaction code can be executed and recorded in the yunIO designer without SAP GUI interaction. As a demo use case, I chose SAP transaction code PA40 for employee onboarding. I first want to demonstrate how to handle this process in SAP and then go to the yunIO designer and show how to rebuild the process there. And in the end, I want to demonstrate how to integrate the resulting web service in a Nintex workflow. Okay, let's start. I'm starting by entering the transaction code PA40 in SAP and navigating through this transaction, enter all the necessary information, navigate through all the screens and info types. I don't want to show the process in full length, so I added a time lapse here. All in all, the process on the SAP side should be pretty clear, so let's change now to the yunIO designer. So what you see here is the yunIO designer running completely in the web browser. Here you can scroll through a list of existing services. To create a new service, click on Add Service, give the service a name of your choice. Select the SAP source connection and select a service type. In this demo, we focus on the transaction service type. Click on Save and Edit, and you end up in this entry screen where you can enter the transaction code PA40. Click on Start, and the transaction will be processed as it is the case in the SAP GUI. Now you can do all the steps you have done before in the SAP user interface and rebuild the process completely here in the designer. I also added some time lapse here and fast forward the whole process. What I'm doing here is I enter employee information in the specific info types. The goal is to have a service later on where the employee can enter some personal information, some address data in a form and submit this form directly to the SAP system. The interesting part here is when I finish the recording and stop the transaction, then I can go ahead and parameterize the certain steps I did in the GUI. I can click through the GUI steps on the left-hand side and decide which fields I want to use as input or output parameters. And if I want to, I can rename the parameters. That's what I'm doing here for the next couple of fields. I define and rename all the fields I want to use later on in my workflow. And when I'm done with that, I just click on Save. Let's go to the Nintex Workflow Cloud Designer where I want to use the created web service. It could also be used in other solutions such as Microsoft Power Platform. In this case, our start event is a web form where the employee is supposed to enter all the necessary information to create the account in SAP. After the form is submitted, the workflow starts and proceeds through various steps. For example, an employee contract is created and sent for signing. After all these workflow steps, yunIO comes into play. The created web service was previously uploaded to the extensions framework. In the settings, the fields of the input form were mapped to the input parameters of the web service. And that's how it looks in action. I created a form with some example data and submitted. And in SAP, the account was successfully created. Let's have a look at the address data. Thank you for watching this video and see you next time.